BALDOLDGUNNER here with the Geezer Deployment Group with a short introductory video for seniors who are concerned that they might be, when they play competitive first-person shooters, they might be paired up and playing expert players. Well, this will explain why that's not such a worry, because these large corporations like Activision, etc., have this all worked out with something called SBMM, skills-based matchmaking. And that's where they pair you up and put you in a lobby with other similar skilled players. And that's where your matches are arranged and who you end up playing. So how's this work? Well, I've just, this is the best I understand, just arbitrarily put this into four different groups. And that's the poor players, the average players, and the good players. And then this fourth group down here, you see, I'm not even mentioning because that's the tryhards. That's the ones that the streamers, the pro players, the hackers, the people who don't know what a 9-to-5 job is and what it's like to do one and then come home and play competitive first-person shooter games for fun, casually. So we won't even talk about them. So how do they determine what group you're in? How do these big corporations? Well, they use, the best that I understand, they use something called the KD, or the kill to death ratio. In other words, how many kills you have versus how many deaths you've gone through. And I've just arbitrarily made these, but I think the poor players are somewhere around the 0.6 to 0.9 group and below. The average player is from there up to like 1.9, 2.0, something like that. And then the really good players are 2.0 and above. And you know, some of them can get incredibly high. And not only does your KD tell you what group you're in, but it also tells you kind of what your chances of survival are, what your KD is. So when you get into a lobby and you start playing, how do you determine if you're in the right lobby as a senior? Well, I want you to evaluate these three things. Movement. When you see the enemy at a distance, what's the movement like? What camos do they have on their weapons? In other words, how long have they been playing the game and how hard have they been trying to improve on the game? That gives you a clue. And then most importantly, the biggie is if you get a chance in the lobby or in the proximity chat to hear the team, you notice the tone and the language. So when you notice those three things, let's go through the different players' lobbies. So let's start with a good player lobby, which you hope not to be in. Well, the first thing you're going to evaluate when you first drop in is you look at the movement, you see an enemy at the distance, and what do they look like? Well, in the good player lobby, they all look like Usain Bolt on crack cocaine. And I don't mean running in a straight line. I mean like this. And when you see that, and you're just going, how do they go that fast? You know you're in a good player lobby and you should get the hell out. Okay, so what's the next thing? The camos, you see a lot of the priceless or interstellar, and best that I know, those are the top of the line camos, the hardest to get. I don't know what they look like, so I can't tell you any more than that. But most importantly, when you're in the good player lobby in the place you shouldn't be, notice the speech, and especially on proximity chat. And what you'll hear is a lot of aggressive speech. I'm coming to get you. I'm going to get you, blah, blah, blah. But in addition to that, you'll hear littered into that some really high-pitched players, very young players, doing character assaults on you, using language. The last time you heard it anyway was when you were in a real foxhole with real bullets flying over your head. When you hear that, you know you're in the wrong place. So what's the average player lobby look like? Well, when you first drop in and you see an enemy at the distance, he still looks like Usain Bolt. But this Usain Bolt is not on crack cocaine, so he just can't decide whether to sprint down there or slide. Sprint, slide, sprint, slide, sprint, slide. And they're just constantly doing it, sprint, slide. And that's the average player lobby. And then camos, they all have the platinum. They worked very hard to get there and show off how they've leveled up their guns. And then in speech, in the average player lobby, it's all about TikTok and Twitter and Twitch and all those things I know nothing about. And they talk about that far more than enemy location. And so when you hear all that banter, you know you're in the average player lobby. But what do we see when we get in the right lobby or the poor player lobby, which is where us seniors should be? Well, movement. When you see that enemy at a distance, everybody is either crouch walking or they're going so damn slow, they look like they lagged out. And when you see that, you go, yes, we're in the right place. We got a chance. And then camos. What's a camo? We don't know what they are or how to get them. We just got the base gun. And then speech. When you know you're in the right lobby and you hear the other players and all they talk about is work, which persists through the gulag. And then if they get killed in the gulag, that's a sign to them that they've got extra time on their hands, so they really delve into their work grievances and talk about how stupid their boss is. You know you're in the right place when you hear that stuff. So I hope this has alleviated a few fears by my seniors. That you're going to be paired up against tryhards and pro players and people like that. And in general, Activision, all those big companies have it all worked out now, so you don't have to worry about it. This is Bald Old Gunner. I hope you enjoyed. Signing out.